welcome to my channel. I'm Laura Pantin of Learning Bilingually. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how we can develop our students' writing skills in Spanish for our young learners. These strategies can work for dual language classrooms and learners, since the writing process and many of the strategies work for both English and Spanish. Giving our students time to write in the classroom and practice the writing process and their grade level writing skills is extremely crucial in all classrooms. In dual language classrooms specifically, students need to be given explicit time to practice their writing in both languages. Before looking at your year-long plans and figuring out how to teach writing in Spanish, it's important to know your main writing grade level standards and be aware of the writing the students were expected to do the year before and will have to do the following year. Of course, to better gauge where all your students are at, you can give students a beginning, middle, and end of year writing assessment to measure their levels and progress. In the early grades, we are working on building students' confidence in their writing by developing a strong foundation with the fundamental skills necessary to write. First, we must have knowledge of the steps of the writing process and what they each entail if we're going to be teaching our students to write. There are 5 main stages or etapas de escritura: prefonética, fonética inicial, fonética avanzada, fonoortográfica, y sintáctica semántica. These stages or etapas are on a continuum, so our goal is to analyze where each student is entering our classroom and the progress they make along the continuum throughout the school year. We also need to be aware of el modelo de transferencia gradual de la responsabilidad en la escritura. In this framework, the teacher models, the student engages in guided practice, and finally, the students engage in independent practice or application of the skills. Within those 3 steps, the students engage in 4 main types of writing: escritura compartida, escritura interactiva, escritura guiada, and escritura independiente. Our writing with our young students should include all these parts because it allows the students to feel comfortable and gather ideas and tools before getting to that independent writing stage. In terms of engaging in the 4 types of writing, during escritura compartida or share writing, you'd have your chart paper and you would model the writing, but also including your students' input. En esta etapa, los estudiantes contribuyen con ideas, pero los maestros son los que hacen la escritura. The second stage, escritura interactiva or interactive writing, is similar to the first, but students start to contribute more to the actual writing of the piece. Esto incluye los estudiantes agregando puntuación o agregando información sobre el tópico. This type of writing also occurs frequently during your morning message from your morning meeting time. The third stage, escritura guiada or guided writing, is similar to guided reading. Students take on the responsibility of writing, but the teacher is there to support and guide the students throughout that time. En esta etapa, los maestros también pueden dar mini lecciones sobre aspectos específicos de la escritura que sienten que sus estudiantes necesitan un poco más de orientación o guía. Finally, the final stage, escritura independiente or independent writing, is where students get the opportunity to develop the writing themselves, taking in all the modeling and strategies and guidance from the teacher into their own writing pieces. So for our young learners to develop their biliteracy, there are several types of units and learning we need to provide them. When I taught kindergarten dual language, after having students become familiarized with writing tools, we would begin with writing with pictures. We would ask our students to respond to reading using pictures, and if they could, labeling those pictures by sounding out words. Of course, in Spanish, I continuously stress the idea of sounding out the syllables, which went along with our syllabic learning throughout each day. By beginning with writing with pictures, students are using their abilities at that time, at the beginning of the school year, to really feel comfortable with the writing process and what writing looks like, and from there we build on to the next unit. From there, we would move on to pattern writing or predictable writing. This is where we would introduce students to important sentence frames and stems, and students begin writing sentences using those frames. Some of the sentence stems that I utilized in kindergarten were me gusta, yo veo, mírala, mira él, yo quiero, vamos a, vamos al, and many more. This helps students work on their writing, but in a way that provides structure for them and isn't really scary. As dual language educators, we want to lower that affective filter, so we would not only model with the sentence stems, but I would then have students share out loud what they were thinking of writing and then move into their independent writing part of the lesson. So students really got lots of ideas for their own writing, and of course, I would have a lot of visuals that could also help my students find the vocabulary that they needed to write independently using the sentence stems. Next, we would move towards narrative writing, where first we would work on generating and compiling ideas for writing by using various graphic organizers in our writer's notebook. For example, having students draw a big corazón, a big heart, on the page, and inside draw and or label things that they love and are interested or passionate about. From there, students get to work on creating pieces where they share mini stories about themselves and their lives. Again, this unit allows students to make connections to themselves, which is really important when students are starting to write and continuing to develop their writing. Something we would do in kindergarten, and we would put this in our students' memory books, is picture writing. So we would take a lot of photos throughout the year, students doing various activities, playing with their friends on field trips or whatever activity we were doing. And students would have to write at least 2 times a month or maybe more, but at least once in English and once in Spanish based on a picture that they chose. This was a form of personal narrative writing that students did throughout the year, and where we could really see the progress of our students' writing developments. After a narrative writing unit, you can move on to an opinion writing unit, since in these units, students are still using their own voice, ideas, preferences, and it is a natural continuation of a narrative writing unit. Now students will be engaging in writing where they share their opinions and about 1 to 2 reasons as to why that is their opinion. That why, that por qué part is really important because students are learning the power of substantiating their claims, even if it is still on a primary level at this point. Finally, students would move on to an informative writing unit where they would get a chance to learn more information on a topic and write about those facts that they've learned. This unit would include having students searching through books on specific topics and age-appropriate websites to gather information and facts, and then transfer that information and facts onto planning sheets and then onto writing pages. Some great websites to gather information safely for children online and in Spanish are Boonies.org, Google Español, Kiddle, and Pebble Go. Pebble Go is a website that has both English and Spanish content, but you do need a subscription for the website. I will link these websites in the description below. What is crucial is that during the teaching of every single writing unit, the teacher is being explicit, purposeful, and providing scaffolding and tools that really will allow all students to access the material and the concepts. During every writing lesson, the teacher is modeling, using graphic organizers, providing those graphic organizers to their students, having portable word walls, dictionaries available, or anything that will better help your students with the vocabulary and information needed to successfully understand the prompt and the lesson concept and activity. At the end of each writing unit, we would hold a writing celebration, una celebración de la escritura, where students would get to share 1 to 2 pieces of their writing with their peers in small groups. The students would get a chance to celebrate their progress, while also learning from each other and the types of writing that their classmates had done. And of course, we'd have a nice snack and celebratory decorations to really make sure it felt like the special event that it was. So some strategies that were crucial for the writing time with our young learners include explicit modeling, utilizing sentence stems and frames, and collaborative pairings and groupings for students to work together. All of these tools are adaptable to virtual learning environments. Teachers can still model using pre-recorded lessons or live mini lessons, sharing sentence frames with a screen share, or uploading them or attaching them to an assignment, and having students in smaller breakout groups working on their writing together as the teacher moves from group to group, checking in on each group and seeing what stage they are at and if they need any extra guidance or help. I also wanted to share 5 main books that I use when preparing my writing instruction, and just books that contain various resources on really building those foundational biliteracy blocks so our students are set up for success throughout writing instruction. The first book is titled La enseñanza de la lectura y la escritura en español y en inglés en clases bilingües y de doble inmersión by Yvonne and David Freeman. This book details the various contexts and methods for teaching both reading and writing in dual language classrooms, and is probably one of my favorites to utilize when preparing my reading and writing instruction. This book is also available in English. The next book is titled Early Biliteracy Development, Exploring Young Learners' Use of Their Linguistic Resources. This book has various narratives written by various researchers discussing the emergence of biliteracy and how to develop biliteracy in the early elementary years. The third book is El Libro de Estrategias de Escritura, una guía completa para formar escritores hábiles by Jennifer Cervallo. And this book is the Spanish translation of the original English copy. This book contains 10 main objectives and a multitude of activities and examples on how to teach that objective. Each activity denotes the level for who it is intended for, what types of text it is used for, and the processes that are being developed in the activity. There are also some great anchor chart examples included specifically in Spanish in this book. And the last 2 books are Teaching for Biliteracy, Strengthening Bridges Between Languages, and Biliteracy from the Start, Literacy Squared in Action. Both of these books provide a multitude of examples for both early learners and intermediate grade learners, and how we can really provide that biliteracy writing block to really develop their writing in both languages. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you found it helpful. Check out the description below to any links of resources mentioned in the video. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel for more dual language bilingual education content. Adios.